think the most important thing for me is not whether Thomas Cook was deemed to be guilty or not, and clearly they weren't. It's actually the way they've handled the situation from a humanity and a compassion point of view. And really some examples of that are there doesn't appear to have been a great deal of communication directly from the company to the parents of this. We had a situation last week where we went through the inquest in Wakefield. A number of senior executives of Thomas Cook repeatedly said, that they weren't in a position to answer anything for all of the questions, so it was no comment. And I understand legally why they were advised to do that, but in my opinion, it should have been balanced with actually more expression, outward expression of compassion for what had actually happened.
So that's your explanation for the way in which they acted. They were fearful of any further litigation,
yes,
you think?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that they were coached or advised by the legal team that they should not put themselves in a position where they could say something that might attract a view that somebody could seek redress against them. And I think that's why they acted the way they did. That would be my personal opinion. And I think that even if they were coached accordingly, you get to a point in an organisation, particularly at the senior level, where you have to balance what is legally right and looking after the interests of the company and shareholders with what is also the right thing to do with regard to the people who have been involved in such a tragic accident.
Because looking at what they did, as you say, they were exonerated in a court in Greece. The inquest jury, however, did say that they'd failed in their duty of care. And after that inquest jury, they apologised to the family for all they'd gone through. I think that was the phrase that they used. And they donated some of the compensation money that they'd received, or the entire money, they say, to UNICEF. So what more do you think they could have done?
Well, there are a number of things there. Firstly, the communication about the apology was, in my opinion, far too late. They did apologise, but I think that should have happened a great deal earlier. There was no reason why they couldn't have offered apologies much earlier, despite the caution about the legal position. I think it was very laudable to donate £1.5 million to UNICEF. It's a great charity. However, in my opinion, I felt that it would be much more beneficial if they'd engaged with the family and said, we are prepared to donate £1.5 million to charity. Do you have any thoughts about which charity we should donate the money to? Or maybe even set up a charity in sort of commemoration and memory of the children, which was happened before.
Do you think the way they've handled this could affect their business looking ahead?
Well, short term, obviously, we've seen some depression in the share price, and we've seen other anecdotal evidence that people are not looking at their site quite as much as they were, and so on. But I think the important thing here is that this particular incident is a long way down the track now. I think the chief executive of Thomas Cook still has the opportunity to come out more openly and more, I suppose, more candidly express their sorrow for what had actually happened for this. And I think more importantly, looking forward, I think there are lessons to be learned, not just for Thomas Cook, for any company that faces this sort of situation. You know, my experience is that when these things happen, and they do happen, not frequently, but when they do happen, it's quite important for senior management of the organisation to be at the forefront. They should be there at the scene where that's practical, where the incidents actually occurred. They should certainly engage with the people who've been directly affected with it, families, relatives, and so on. And they should be very open with the media about the situation.